Sponsored today by University Credit Union. And joining me today is Miss Katy Meagher from Neighbors for Neighbors. Thank you so much. I couldn't help myself. It just rolled off my tongue.
Oh,
that
absolutely.
way.
You have to say it with an Irish accent.
How do I say it with an Irish accent? Katy Meagher. How do I do, Tommy?
Not bad.
Thank you so much for joining us today, getting back to business.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you. And it's really exciting because you just became the executive director in 2020, last year.
Yes. If you want to find out if you're made for something, do it right at the height of a pandemic.
Yeah. Tell me what that was like, because I know you've been with Neighbors for Neighbors for 5 years before that.
Yes. And it's been, and obviously an unprecedented year. I hate to use that word, but that's the only thing that I can find that's fitting. But it has also been a very exciting year. We've had the opportunity to really step up, because that's what Neighbors for Neighbors does. We're there in times of crisis. A lot of people remember us from Hurricane Andrew.
Yeah, your inception in 1992. How much are we dating ourselves?
I know.
Wait, I got to tell you, Katy and I, we figured out we both went to Sunset High School. Sorry, I had to put that in as a plug, but
Go nice.
She's older.
Right.
She's much older.
Yes. Like by 6 months. Yeah.
Not.
But it just shows what a small world this is too. And that's really what Neighbors for Neighbors is all about, is bringing those people together in that small world, that we're all connected somehow, whether we went to high school together or doesn't matter what you have or what you don't have. We all want the same things. We all have the same needs. And so that's what Neighbors for Neighbors is really all about, and always has been, is connecting those in need with those who can help.
So tell me a little bit about how the uniqueness of it, because if you read this, it reads like a credit of a movie. I mean, there are so many things that Neighbors for Neighbors does, from helping families, individuals that are in crisis for substance abuse, domestic violence, food programming. Just tell me what's gone on in the last year and what's going on in the near future.
Well, the unique thing about Neighbors for Neighbors is that we don't have a lot of the red tape that many organizations do. First of all, a lot of people don't realize we are a nonprofit. Even though you see us on Channel 4, we are a separate 501c3. So we're wholly funded by, donations and support of the community. But we have a unique position in able to take those donations and support of the community and really kind of meld it to how the needs are. So in a case of the pandemic, right away we were like, okay, well, granted, there are these great food distributions happening, but where's the real need? That needs being met. But where else can we find and fit that, need? So we've been working to provide food directly to communities, hot meals or prepared meals, deliveries of, vegetables and fruits and, necessity items, essential items, and even gift cards, so that those people, so they went through the distribution, they got what they needed, but then how can they supplement what they don't have? Because, there only so much money goes around. And, if you need toothpaste or you need toilet paper, that's not coming at the food distribution. You have to go to the store to buy that.
And how do you reach into the community to get those donations? How does that happen? Walk us through that, so that maybe people that are listening who want to participate, want to help, how to become a part of your mission statement, can reach out to you or to the organization.
Yeah, well, it's truly very simple. Donating right on our website is the best way to go.
Hey,
go to neighborsforneighbors.org and make a donation. Really simple. You can pay with a credit card, you can use PayPal, the whole deal. And then also we have, donors who send us checks. You can mail those to our office, and then sponsors who assist as well. Even grants that we receive sometimes, that then provide the funding, and those people show their support in a maybe a bigger check, but that just, sustains us long term, because, we still, we have to pay for phones and, computers and internet and all that good stuff like any other company.
You mean something real?
Yes,
like
exactly.
That might be coming up. Yeah.
But those tools allow us to do what we do, that those connections happen, over, because especially now you're not out in the community as much. So you're, utilizing computers and internet way more than ever before. We, Zoom, obviously. Absolutely. Who hasn't Zoomed? I don't know who you are. You don't exist. Everyone has Zoomed.
Who's Zooming, right?
Yeah.
You said connecting those in need with those who can help. What does that mean? Let's get back to that.
That is probably the broadest, simplest statement you've ever heard. And that is, whatever that need is, whether it's a family who needs a meal or something dramatic, like maybe they've lost their home to a fire, or we've had cases of a family whose children had they had twin daughters with brain tumors,
Mm.
but they came down to South Florida because they needed to get the best medical treatment available. And then but they sold everything, but they needed a car to get there. They had two cars, but dad has to work, and mom was like taking the bus to get down to the hospital. So we were able to help them get a car. Now it's not often that we, come across cars, but, every day, finding those needs. And then really on a daily basis, people will call us. And while we don't provide any direct services ourselves, there are many of our nonprofit partners who do things really, really well. So, but a lot of people don't know where those places are.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll call us, they let us know what they're going through, and then we are able to weed through all the clutter that they can't find the answers to and get them connected.
So you really are like a Rolodex.
Yeah.
To really date myself. A
Absolutely.
Rolodex of resource for our community.
And it's individual and unique to each person. So it's not like a one size fits all, because people will call and they think they need one thing, but then we'll find out, well, truth be told, if we got this other problem taken care of, which there's a resource for, that's going to free up your money to take care of this problem that you have.
Absolutely.
So you're asking for this, but truth be told, we can get you this and that, and they're like, oh, well, that solves my problem.
Absolutely.
And I didn't even know that this was available to me.
That's wonderful. And then you've done programming that are geared more to the holidays. You've done a holiday drive, Adopt a Family, Thanksgiving. Tell me about some of the programming that I know it's up and coming later on in the year, but what's happening now and what we can look forward to hearing from Neighbors for Neighbors?
Yeah, well, Adopt a Family is our oldest program. That was literally started. So we were founded right after Hurricane Andrew as really a television station initiative at the time. A phone bank that was luckily already set up, because at the time, if you didn't have one set up, you weren't going to get one, because AT&T was busy just trying to build back their lines, Bell South at the time. So we were doing so well at what we were doing, we became a nonprofit. But the holidays came, and those who were still devastated down in Homestead, holidays weren't going to be kind to them. So the same premise still applied. Let's help these families get something for the holidays and make the holidays special. And there are those who are able to do that are in a good position. So Adopt a Family was born. Now, almost 30 years later, Adopt a Family has helped, gosh, I can't even tell you, but last year alone, $500,000 almost is what we were able to do, is connecting. And so we have a great website that we've built ourselves, and it allows our nonprofit partners to identify families. So these are families that are being served for a multitude of reasons, and but without the kindness of a stranger, they're not going to have a holiday season.
Let's do a quick plug. What is the website?
Oh, it's neighborsforneighbors.org. You'll find that always on Neighbors for Neighbors.
Neighborsforneighbors.org.
Yeah.
We're not going to just fly over that.
Neighborsforneighbors.org.
I love the way that rolls off your tongue, just like your name, Katy Meagher.
And but you can go on there, and what's really cool is you can search by geographic locations. You can find a family maybe near your office, maybe near your home. You can also search family size, because maybe you have a certain budget. So maybe you can only serve a family with 2 children, or maybe you're getting a group together and you can serve a family with 10. Last season, AutoNation, for example, came in. They adopted 50 families, because they, of course, have the power to do that as a huge corporation. And we had told them, I said, the largest families are the hardest to serve, and they're usually the neediest, especially a family with 7, 10 children. A lot of times those are melded families, where maybe grandparents are now taking care of grandchildren and things like that, or an aunt is taking care of nieces and nephews. So maybe they're not all that one person's children, but can you even imagine, like, all of a sudden having to take on other children into your family? Organizations that grandparents are caring for grandchildren, just specifically their kids, or the parents are out of the picture, or families just like everybody else who were doing great at one point, and then even the pandemic has.
Have you seen that? Have you seen an increase in what of your resources? Because I know you have a whole litany. We've talked about some of it, of places and people and that you really focus on.
Yeah.
So what area has really spiked during this time?
The pandemic has really, brought to light that there is, how quickly someone can go from being okay financially to being devastated. That a lot of us didn't have any savings, much less savings to last a year or 6 months or even 3 months. And so imagine that your business is completely shut down, whatever. And there was not a single area of the community that was left untouched. Didn't matter if you worked at an office, whether you worked at a restaurant, and as much as the government did everything they could with paycheck protection and things like that, still companies, they didn't have the volume. I mean, you can go to the store right now and you can see that there is a lot less on the shelves. If you go into a retail store and you think there used to be just like walls and walls of whatever, and now it's like you kind of spread it out a little bit more because there's less supply. And but one of the things that we noticed was, okay, the food distributions. I mean, Neighbors for Neighbors since March, goodness, a year ago, like 2 days ago, we have done $775,000 in food distributions.
Kudos to you.
Yeah.
How much is that? Think about that. Say that again.
Yeah. 775,000 in food distributions. And that's food, essentials, gift cards, because that's when we realize, okay, great. There's plenty of food distributions. FarmShare, one of our biggest partners, is doing an amazing job. And they invented that drive-through distribution, so they were doing that well before the pandemic, but it works, just pull up and it easily gets the cars through. But there's only so many potatoes and oranges and whatever you can eat. So what are you going to do? Well, what we called our COVID relief campaign was assisting with more than hunger. So that's where those gift cards came in. So we were working with, organizations like Walmart and CVS and Publix, and buying, because we have buying power as a nonprofit. So we can take that dollar that you donate and turn it into $5. So we get a percentage more than when we buy the gift card than when you buy the gift card. So then we would be able to have more money, essentially to give out. And then those cards would go to families. I mean, I was at a distribution that we did with our partners at Connect Familias here in Miami. And there's literally a CVS next door to their facility. We were giving them backpacks, masks, sanitizer. The backpacks were filled with school supplies. This was right around when school started. And the gift cards. And they were literally walking out with the backpack and walking right into CVS. That's how desperate they were. They needed that.
And you were there. And you were there. Neighbors for Neighbors was there to help them through this really trying time.
And it's so rewarding. It never gets lost on me, the impact that we make. And I'm a crier. I'll be at these things and just like, sunglasses. And now with the mask, you can kind of hide it. We never get jaded. We never feel like, gosh, the same person needs help again. Because, it is,
what you're doing, I must tell you that Katy and I have spoken probably a bunch of times over the last 6 months. And every time we get on the phone and she tells me what's going on and what's happened this week or last month or this month or coming up, there's always a sense of passion in your voice. And I must tell you, as an executive director, it's a calling. I have to tell you, it is a calling for what you do. And the community is blessed to have you.
I thank you. And that's truth, that it is a calling. They say that if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And that is so true, because, and there are times I think, gosh, this isn't hard. This is just who I am, and I hope that comes through, because
150%, because I hear it in your voice every time we've spoken.
And, and as a mom and as somebody who's, been in South Florida, gosh, since 1980, this community is my home. So this isn't just like a job and yay, we're going to fill the quotas and, no, not at all. I mean, every person's an individual, and I've learned how sometimes just people need to talk. They just, so they'll call and we'll, in fact, yesterday, crazy, I got a phone call from a woman who'd gotten her vaccine at Marlins Park, but she realized she never got her card back. So she didn't have her record. And it was like, oh gosh, what are we? Okay. So I did a little digging and I called.
She sprinkled her fairy dust.
Yeah,
it called on all those
easier
people.
than I thought, but I did a little digging. found out where she could get her vaccine card, called myself in advance, got like the more direct number for her. Cause this is a senior. And so, she's not going to navigate those crazy phone systems. Is this the direct number? Who should she ask for? Yes. Have her call me. Great. Perfect. Call her back. She was like, "Wow, you're calling me back already?" Cause of course I told her it might take me a while. I don't want to.
She doesn't have a cape. That's all she doesn't have is a cape.
And so
that's all she does.
But I was like, okay, well now I know. And then we put it like, hey, if you didn't get your thing, now we found like if she's one, actually she was calling on behalf of her and the 4 friends who all went in the car together. So, which probably, Sally drove, and then Marcia and, Mary and
then
Marie.
They went to eat afterwards.
Yeah, yes, exactly. That was totally it. You were in the phone with me.
I'm there with you, girl.
Those little things, is it's kind of like good karma. You put it out there and it comes back.
What is the biggest, proudest moment that you've had in this job title so far?
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Your greatest accomplishment, or even if it was a small might have been just getting those little ladies yesterday, getting them their white card.
Yeah. You know what? The things that happen on a surprising basis, like where we'll get, because it's not always about money. Sometimes it's resources. So for example, one time at the beginning of the pandemic, I got a call from a guy who had an entire semi-tractor trailer full of hummus. And you're like, okay, what do I do with hummus? But I'm like, well, hummus, it's a great protein. People can eat it. I call Farm Share, and like within an hour, we had that hummus like down in it at a distribution, and it was put out. I guess it was little containers that you can, eat. And things like that, when those things happen where somebody calls and says, I have something, I have this thing, or where someone calls and then you find out where you could get them their answer. They're in need. And
who knew that a little chickpea can go such a long way?
And how crazy, like we were trying to figure out like, what happened that this hummus didn't get where it was supposed to go? Like
it found its rightful
double
home.
order, and then they're like, well, crap, we're going to, throw it away. No, we can't do that, And, but how they found to call us, was just, we were so grateful. And then how I knew where I could get it to, Farm Share said, hey, Farm Share, which warehouse do you want it to go to? Because we would have sent it to Pompano or, down to Homestead. And
what has been the biggest challenge that you've had so far?
Gosh.
What is those misconceptions or most difficult times for you?
This kind of a lifelong thing. And while we are very fortunate to have an amazing partnership with Channel 4, a lot of people think we're part of the television station, which has muscle and power and money. And people don't realize that we're a nonprofit and we need, financial resources in order.
They need financial resources. Yeah. Neighborsforneighbors.org.
But we're great partners, so we always toot your horn. Neighbors for Neighbors does have that special relationship. So that's one of the ways that we make our money too, is by putting a sponsor on a PSA and then, kind of a cause related marketing type thing. But
so even here, like we have University Credit Union, maybe next week it could be the hummus guys.
Right. Yeah. The hummus guys, who knows, but it is, a unique thing to have, problem to have, but we'll never trade our partnership with Channel 4. I mean, we were, we've done so much together, and they allow us, that's where we shine, is that when somebody's in need, like there's a fire, that actually just happened recently in Pembroke Pines, an entire building burned down, and 6 families were affected. So we were able to get on the news, let people know that they could donate to Neighbors for Neighbors, and we were able to help these families, immediately. In fact, one of the families, son was in school, but of course using the laptop remotely, we were able to get him a brand new laptop so that he had no interruption. I overnighted it. He only had his laptop gone for 1 day. We made sure that another family, that they had, because they were like ground zero for the fire. So they lost everything. There wasn't even any salvageable stuff in that part of the building. So we got them gift cards so that they could go to the store and buy underwear. Get another outfit, right? Go get a toothbrush. The things that you realize. Imagine losing
things we take for granted,
because they left with their lives, probably their phone. God even knows if they had the mindset to grab their bag, their purse, their keys to the car. I mean, all of that could have been gone, and just. I mean, like pandemics or anything, there's any multitude of reasons why a family could be in crisis. I mean, you could be happy and healthy one day, and then we find that it actually is a very small, surprisingly small, but it's usually about a $500 that will literally turn a family upside down and almost make it impossible to get out.
And the things that we take for granted
Right.
on that footprint.
Yeah. But $500
is a lot.
It seems like a lot, but it really doesn't, right? You're thinking,
Right.
that's only $500. It's not $1,000. It's not $10,000.
It's all relative.
Right. And it is all relative. And, but we're so grateful that after, 30 years, we're, this kind of staple in this community, that we're a partner to all. We serve Dade, Broward, and Monroe counties. But we've served, Katrina, when they had their, when New Orleans had their, we were able to raise, almost $500,000 for that, for rebuilding over there. And one of the things that Neighbors for Neighbors does, we're here in the long term. So the Red Crosses, the FEMAs, they come in the initial, they're the cavalry. They come in immediately, but they're only here temporarily and then they're gone. Neighbors for Neighbors deals with that long term. We're the ones who help, fill that need after
everybody leaves.
After everybody leaves. And a lot of people don't realize that because, FEMA, for example, you apply FEMA's only going to repair one room in your entire home. They're going to make one room livable, but we're going to see if we can get, those other things taken care of.
The other missing pieces to make the puzzle whole again.
Yeah. And it's, that's the, and then of course, we were very lucky last season not to get any storms, knock on all the wood that we can find. But it's, that was the scariest thing too. Like, are we going to have a hurricane during this pandemic? What are we going to do? But that's the other side of Neighbors for Neighbors is in the background, part of all of these organizations, long-term recovery organizations for all three counties, working with all these people. And you'd be surprised, it's a handful of people that really are at the forefront of taking care of all these things. And we come in and go, tell us what you need.
I feel your energy. It's like always like your conviction and love for this job.
Don't worry, I pass out at 9:00 every night, like I'm dead. Just,
I don't think she drinks coffee either. So
I do actually. I do. But not not as much, definitely not Cuban coffee, and you should just about 1 cup a day, just to keep them.
You're just on a natural high.
Yeah, that's always the thing. People have always said that about me. But
Katy, in the last couple of seconds that we have left, tell me what you want people to know about Katy as far as your legacy, whether it be your family. She's got a beautiful daughter who I met on Zoom recently, such a cutie, little artistic little thing.
Yeah.
Or even in your job. What do you want people to remember?
Well, the thing that I think I want everybody to know about me is that when you meet me, there is not Katy, the executive director, or Katy, the friend, or Katy, the mom. I'm the same person. Maybe I have to do different things in each job, but I'm the authentic person that you meet. There's no front. There's, so maybe I tell jokes and be a little silly and goofy and what have you, but I don't believe that that's inappropriate in any forum. And that, and the biggest thing is that it never should be work. It should be fun. So even when we're doing like the hard things or dealing with things, if you do it with, a little bit of love and a little bit of humor, it's, makes all the difference in the world. And I think people appreciate that.
I like her. I like Katy, not only because she's a knight, but because she's just really a cool person. I want to thank you for coming in today, and I hope this is first of many appearances and time together with us at Community Newspapers.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been so great. I can't believe it's already done. We feel like we're just
beginning. We can go on for another hour. Tom, what do you think? Another hour?
I don't know. There's a lot of other shows.
I want to thank you for tuning in to Community Newspapers, the Community Voice. I'm Fara Sax, and I hope you join me next time right here.